Now, some people love them, others think they're boring, but there's no doubt poker machines fill in the hours for many Australians. In fact, the volume of money put through the pokies blows other forms of gambling out of the water. And tonight, the new Aussie-made pokies coming to our pubs and clubs, and they're being sent to casinos around the world.
The computer is what makes them cunning, because you can program them to do whatever you want them to do.
Hitting the pokies has never looked like this.
Let's get this wheel spinning.
The whole premise of them is to play on the vulnerable.
These are the new age arcade-style poker machines made in Australia and being fast-tracked to Las Vegas and casinos across the globe.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul on fire.
And in America, they refer to them as Australian-style slots, and they're taking over the American market.
And soon, heading to our pubs, clubs and gaming floors.
Where we physically take gaming up a level.
Tonight, the towering high-tech behemoths and how Australia is revolutionising the way the world gambles. But who are the real winners and losers?
It's about trying to get you to lose yourself in the product.
The truth from those who've been addicted.
I'd cry. I'd literally have tears in one of my eyes.
The tricks.
Sounds like you win a lot of money.
I know. And then you look up and it's $1.
The expert.
Even though you've lost, you get the impression that you've won. So that gives you the chemical reward in your brain and keeps it pumping through you and is more likely to generate an addictive response.
And the calculated science and psychological testing behind each machine.
We know that in animal studies, rats, pigeons and so on, if you give an animal a reward at intermittent intervals, so not every time it pushes the bar, but once or twice every 10, then it's much more likely to keep using the machine.
We look at some of the tips straight from Sin City.
Play within the first 30 minutes of every hour.
And we take you inside the latest gaming expos to show you the Australian company that's now the second largest manufacturer of poker machines in the world.
We're trying to create a real sensory immersion experience for players, unlike any other game that they'll ever play on a casino floor.
First,
people think they're playing the machine, but in fact, the machine is playing them.
Consider this. Australia has the highest rate of gambling in the world. Last year, we spent nearly $21.5 billion. For every dollar waged at the races, 5 was fed into poker machines. It looks like this. $3.2 billion on racing and sports bet, $3.98 billion in casinos, $2.5 billion on lotteries, and $12 billion on poker machines.
There were days which I would call my binge days, where I would empty out all I could of my credit cards and my savings accounts.
Superstitious players believe they can conjure a win.
Some people stroke the machine in a certain way. I've seen people embracing machines late at night.
Do you ever win?
I'm probably a long way behind.
Not had any luck? No. It's terrible.
And here's why.
I mean, each time you push the button, the outcome is completely random.
Dr. Charles Livingston of Monash University has spent nearly 20 years researching the odds.
The average machine has upwards of 80 million possible outcomes. So in order to exhaust that number of outcomes, you'd have to play the machine non-stop for a couple of years. And even then, you probably only got about a 50% chance of winning.
Put simply, you have more chance of being struck by lightning than winning a jackpot.
The average Australian machine, the jackpot chance is about 1 in 50 million. So it's worse than the odds of winning Tats Lotto.
Even if I won that money back, it would be back into the next day to play again.
Gary Parsison understands some people can play for fun, but for him and thousands like him, poker machines become an addiction.
It's no different than, you know, a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction. I'd wake up with the tunes in my head, and also with the plan to where could I go today, how much time have I got to gamble today, how much money have I got to gamble today. That would be the first thing that entered my head when I opened my eyes in the morning.
Gary hid his addiction for 15 years. It cost him his marriage, his high-paying job, and he says hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'd come out of the venue and I'd think, oh, what have I done? And my body felt so, I don't know, I'd cry. I'd literally have tears in one of my eyes and think, what have I done?
Scan any club and you'll see players in what's known as a zombie-like state.
That's a good way to put it, trance-like or zombie-like.
Gary knows he was one of them.
It was that perfect escape that it was my world and no one could break into that world. So there was a relationship between me and the machine, and nothing could interrupt that.
Now he works with the Salvation Army to try to help other gamblers, and he says the look of the giant new arcade-style machines terrifies him.
My understanding is that there is a lot of work that goes into making the machines as mesmerising and as enticing as they can be to someone who is vulnerable.
The first wave of celebrity pokies are already in some clubs across Australia.
The machine's making a lot of noise. Does that mean it's a good one?
No, she just sings all the time.
And that's the idea.
Combination of rewards and the stimulus of lights and sounds generates a system in the brain which actually gives people a pleasurable sensation, and that's why they keep coming back. It's a perfect addiction machine.
The new curved screens take it one step further, immersing you in the game.
It's on a cabinet called the Arc, which is a dual 42-inch curved LCD platform. It stands at 10.5 feet tall.
And it's working. Latest US research shows sit here and you're likely to play up to 80% longer than you would on a traditional machine.
Yeah, we got 5 of her best songs in the game itself, and yeah, we have a lot of video clips featuring her. We've got a pink sound chair. We've got a great stereo system, so you get sound behind you, in front of you, and from above, so you get this cacophony of sound.
Then there are the giant flat screens.
We have the Behemoth, which is an 84-inch portrait monitor. It's the biggest cabinet ever designed in the gaming industry.
And behind all this technology, Sydney-based gaming company Aristocrat, which has won the top-performing game in Las Vegas for the past 4 years.
We have licenses from Sons of Anarchy, Britney Spears, The Game of Thrones, Ted, the #1 R-rated movie of all time.
They're a far cry from the one-armed bandits that were first legalised in New South Wales in 1956.
The ease with which you can sort of fall into the machine has become greater, and I think, you know, what they're doing is building a better mousetrap.
The question is, can you beat the machine?
I'm here to show you the ins and outs of how to win every time.
This man is just one of thousands of so-called professionals who claim you can.
So the tip is play machines in high traffic areas and play maximum lines and maximum bets. Let's see how we go.
We put his other tips to the test too.
Play within the first 30 minutes of every hour. Never put more than $10 in it. You want to play the slot machines without franchise and licensing fees. Never play slots when there is a big convention in town.
Apparently it works for him.
So we've been playing about 15 minutes and we have $81 from our original 10.
Neither his system nor Lady Luck worked for us. And while we saw some small wins...
How much did you win?
Well, $50. I put 50 in, I won 100.
Nothing you can do to a poker machine increases the chances of winning.
Behind the bright lights and hypnotising sounds, it truly is nothing more than a lucky numbers game.
There's a rule called the law of large numbers, which means that because a machine is based on probabilities, it has a guaranteed probability that over the long term, it will retain 10% of every cent that's put into it.
And for clubs, pubs and casinos, it's a big collect.
The bread and butter of most casino operations is poker machine operations. Mums and dads who go in there and drop a couple of hundred every night.
It's a jackpot for governments too, cashing in more than $5 billion a year in gambling revenue. New South Wales has almost half of all poker machines in the country, while Western Australia has the least, with machines only allowed in casinos.
So people start to think of it as something other than what it is, which is a computer which has been ruthlessly designed to relieve you of your money.
Bonus spins aren't the only ploy to keep you playing either.
No calls for everyone. Help yourself.
You up there?
Cherry wraps, picnics, Mars bars, shapes.
Here, like at many suburban clubs and pubs, it's food. Others offer drinks, free buses and discount reward cards.
They knew that while I was sitting in front of the machine, I was worth every bit of that plate of sandwiches or glass of Diet Coke.
While they can feed you up, Dr. Livingston says, be warned. Even in this flash video poker machine world, one urban myth continues to live on.
But people think that by playing a machine that's been played for a while, they'll somehow, it's going to spill out money. That's not how it works at all.
No, that one didn't work for me. And of course, all those bells and whistles have a downside. 10% is a high margin, and the social cost to the community in Australia estimated to be something near $5 billion a year.